I heard you.
It's the Trade and Commerce Committee of the City Council of Los Angeles. This is the 6th day of December. It's a Tuesday. We're going to be joined by Mr. Rosendahl within minutes. But I'm going to go through the agenda. I'm going to hold item number 1. I want Mr. Rosendahl here for that. And also I reserve as chair to recall all these items once other members come. But I want to give you an opportunity, since you're here to start. There's nothing worse than when you get to the airport and you got your ticket and you're ready to fly and you don't push away from the gate. So we're going to push away from the gate, but we're not probably going to take off until we get all our pilots and passengers on, as I could use that analogy. So let's start. We're going to hold number 1. We're going to go to number 2 right now.
Item number 2 is downstairs.
Staff is number 2 downstairs. We're going to hold that. Staff at number 3. Number 3.
Item number 3. Item number 3 is a request to approve or find that the American Airlines Commuter Facility Improvement Project complies with the LAX plan.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michael Feldman. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for LA World Airports. The American Eagle remodel of the commuter terminal is absolutely consistent with the settlement agreement and with the master and specific plans for LAX. In terms of the settlement agreement, one of the key issues would be the gate count that was part of the settlement agreement. We are currently under the gate count today. We will be under the gate count when this project is completed, and we're at a level of activity which won't trigger any reduction in gates for quite some time, given that that trigger isn't until we reach 75 million passengers, and we're currently at about 60.
And you're, what is the gate count for American Eagle?
The gate count here is actually this, the current gate count. The gate count when this project is completed will be 10 gates. There were previously 12 gates at the facility, so there's actually fewer gates.
Right.
And more amenities for passengers who are using
So
them.
10 gates, what's a rough number you got to estimate? You know, how many people go through those 10 gates?
It's a great question, and I don't have their operational schedule, but we're talking about regional aircraft, so each
San Luis Obispo, Bakersfield, Palm Springs?
Well, a little bit further, because these are regional jets, so they do have a little bit more reach than that.
Right.
The maximum that the Canadian regional jet can carry is 68, and the maximum that the Brazilian regional jet can carry is 48. So these are smaller aircraft.
Planes.
Correct.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you very much. We'll take this as a report. Mr. Legislative Analyst, what is the recommendation on this?
It's to approve.
We'll recommend approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Item number 4.
Item number 4 is a motion by Councilwoman Perry relative to establishing refrigerated cold storage facilities as well as other commercial cargo facilities at Ontario Airport to handle more international shipments and to relieve congestion and the burden of cargo shipments coming through LAX. We have a letter from Councilwoman Perry.
Yes, I had that too. Would you read it into the record?
Yes. It says, Dear Councilman Labange, the verbal report that the Airport Department will present to the committee today will address numerous reasons why cold storage at the Ontario Airport will not increase utilization of that airport. I would like to request that the committee hold this item for a subsequent report and challenge the department to come up with ways to overcome these challenges. This endeavor is extremely important for the flower industry in downtown LA and could stimulate an untapped portion of the economy for the entire region. I look forward to working with the department on this matter, and I thank the committee for your attention to my motion.
Thank you very much. Okay, just give us a report. I am asking for a report back. I think this is a good idea that if it could be furthered, but you know all the parameters. Hit me with your report.
Very good. Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. Councilman, refrigerated cargo at LAX and at any airport for that matter concentrates on fresh flowers from South America, fresh produce from South and Central America, Europe, and Asia, and outbound as well, the same products. Refrigerated cargo is now in the U.S. concentrated at Miami. The lion's share of the product goes in and out of Miami Airport, and that's mostly because of the proximity of Miami to most of those destinations that I've talked about. Other areas, including not only Los Angeles, but Houston and New Orleans, have made significant runs at trying to take some of that refrigerated cargo load from Miami. But we have not been successful. Nobody has really been terribly successful to date at getting that market share. Refrigerated cargo comes in wide-body freighters and in the bellies of wide-body passenger aircraft. And quite frankly, those wide-body aircraft are not in use at Ontario right now, which is the main reason why the cold storage issue at Ontario isn't building cold storage at Ontario wouldn't be terribly useful, because the air passenger aircraft and the freighter aircraft that bring in and out this cargo are too big for Ontario, and the airlines don't fly there with those aircraft. We have the cold storage capacity at LAX, and I think Mercury Air Cargo just built a new facility that expanded that capacity at LAX.
Well, let me ask you this question here, because you mentioned Miami, and I also am stalling for time. See over here, there's that screen right there? That's the United States, okay?
Mhm.
And there's the Eastern Time Zone, the Central Time Zone, the Rocky Mountain Time Zone, and the Pacific Time Zone. All right, so this is open to anybody have a question. How many people live in the Eastern Time Zone, do you think? How many population-wise, percentage-wise?
What, about half?
Well, pick a number. Pick a number. 40? All right, just to let you know, it's 47%. It's like 24% in the Central, 6 in the Rockies, and 16 in the West Coast, or our Pacific Standard Time. Does that have a factor in it because of population?
Yes, it does, because the shipments that are the flight.
I also wanted to let you know I've had this and wanted to use this for like 2 years. And I haven't worn this particular suit for 2 years, so I found it. The battery's still good, so I was looking for something. Is that good? Does it look very good? All right, Abak. Okay.
The motion in particular raises the issue of the flower trade. I mean, there's also produce and other things as well. But sticking to the flower trade, most of the fresh flowers that we're talking about come out of Ecuador and Colombia, and they will fly up to Miami and then be distributed from there along the East Coast and even to Europe. the LA cold storage facility serves LA, our local market, but also serves as a connecting point to Asia as well. So the flowers that are coming in to LAX need connectivity to Asia, which you get from LAX. There's no the wide body flight to Asia are going out of LAX, and also LAX is more convenient to the Flower Mart downtown than the than Ontario as well. So that's why. And also the other thing is that LAX over the last 50 years has built up the network of freight forwarding companies that really are needed to support this sort of cold storage, cold cargo trade. And so that's why the capacity we have at this time is at LAX. And I could say that having more capacity would be a good thing, which is why the recent opening of the new facility at LAX is important.
Well, I got that. I'm going to ask you to hold your seat. We do have one public comment card from Kent Smith. Mr. Smith?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Kent Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the LA Fashion District. And as well as fashion, we have the two largest flower markets in the United States in our district. We have over 200 businesses that are involved in the flower wholesaling industry. And Councilmember Labange, your exercise with the laser was great, because I think, as you said, there's 16% of the population that's in the Pacific time zone. We're only LAX only has about 6% of the total flowers in the nation that are coming through, that are imported, that are coming through to the United States. We could do a much better job of attracting those flowers and business to Los Angeles if we had better cold storage facilities, if we had a fumigation facility. And we're not experts to talk about which airport it needs to be in. Just to give you a sense, LAX added 12,000 square feet of cold storage facilities. That's great, but we're talking about over 2 million square feet of storage facilities, cold storage in Miami. We could do a lot more on this. We could generate a lot more economic activity. Right now, the majority of those flowers are going by truck from Miami to LA, which is a little ridiculous when you think about flowers and how perishable they are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark, you're an expert in airports. Who do you think funded this cold storage in Miami? Who built the cold storage?
I would imagine a private developer did, the airport didn't.
Well, what I'd like to do, I think Ms. Perry brings up a point. If you could do a written report, do a little research on this, and when you're ready in 30 days, come back to us, if you could, and just tell us what you think is right from the economic sense, and the challenges. And I'll certainly then share that with Ms. Perry, but I think it's worthy to see if there's anything. I understand the wide body issue. I understand that. I think that should be mentioned as well.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. We're now joined by Mr. Rosendahl. Oh, very good. I'm going to do that again. I'm now joined by Mr. Rosendahl.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Rosendahl. Thank you very much. How are you, Bill? Thank you. We started off slow, a little like Tina Turner, you know, and Proud Mary, and now we're picking it up a little.
That's wonderful.
Since you're here.
That's great.
We have gone over one item. Mr. CLA, could you repeat the first item that we did so we get consensus, possibly?
Yes, we did item number 3 relative to the American Airlines commuter facility, and your recommendation was to
Item
approve.
number 3, are you okay with item number 3?
No,
You have a question?
yes.
Okay, as I stated earlier, we will recall
Okay.
all items. Take a minute to get covered on
I
that.
just got to get it together.
Here.
Item number 1, what happened to that? Item number 3?
Okay, Mr. Clerk, you want to call item number 3 again?
Yes.
And we have an appointee from the mayor. You're okay time-wise? Good, so you can watch this as well. Thank you
He's
very
a
much.
constituent of mine.
Right, the grade 11th. Here we go, Mr. Abak.
Yes, item number 3 is the request to approve or find that the American Airlines commuter facility improvement project complies with the LAX plan.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yes, here are my questions, and RSAC helped me with these questions, so. What kinds and sizes of aircraft will fit into the gates of the new commuter facility? What is their seating capacity?
Good morning, council member.
Morning.
The
What's your
answer-
name?
My name is Michael Feldman. I'm Deputy Executive Director over facilities at LA World Airports.
Great.
Good morning again. The answer to your question is these are commuter aircraft. These are what are called regional jets. There's really 2 primary types that are operated by American Airlines. The first is called a CRJ 700. That's a aircraft that can seat a maximum of 68 people at the most. The other aircraft is a Brazilian aircraft, an Embraer regional jet, and it can seat a maximum of 48 passengers.
Great, great. How will this improve terminal impact and the capacity and/or gate caps described in the stipulated settlement agreement?
There really isn't much of an impact to the gate cap, but I'll answer the first part of your question first. American Eagle was operating a commuter terminal that had to be relocated or moved because of the other modernization projects at LAX. And that previous facility included 12 gates. The area that they're moving to was previously operated by United Airlines, and who had 18 gates at that facility, and American Eagle is actually, their proposal would have 10 gates. So in terms of the gate cap, we're far below the gate cap. We're far below the trigger in the settlement agreement of 75 million passengers that would start to trigger the reduction of gates on an annual basis. We're at about 60 million passengers today. The gate cap or the gate reduction clause in the settlement agreement kicks in when we hit 75 million passengers.
Do you have any sensibilities about when that might be or not be, or just leave that on hold?
Some of the most recent forecasting we've done suggests that we're talking about roughly 2023, 2024 to hit the 75 million passengers.
Okay, well, I'll be a little older.
We all will.
than I am now. Okay, the city attorney, if I understand this right, does not believe that there are any complications resulting from the American Airlines bankruptcy proceedings. Is that right? How do you sense that?
Well, that's, I can only say that we haven't heard anything from American Airlines as part of their bankruptcy filing. Okay.
Every time she comes up to speak, I think about the 18 holes over there at the Westchester Golf Course. She is responsible for having that.
Hi, Debbie Bowers, Deputy Executive Director of Commercial Development at LAX. We actually were meeting with American yesterday and went through a lot of agreements that we're working on with them. We've also hired outside counsel for the bankruptcy. We do think we're okay. American assured us that we were still part of their location cornerstone, which includes Miami, Dallas, JFK, Chicago, and us. So they still plan on being here. They even still plan on growing here, as they had been talking to us about their strategies. We are talking about still renewing the Super Bay. We have a couple more leases we're working with them, and we are working with them on a settlement agreement for the M&O for T4. So, and the
Continental Airlines, is that the merger we're hearing about, or am I imagining that?
The merger that's the rumor with American is U.S. Airways.
Oh, with U.S. Airways?
Yeah. Continental merged with United.
Right.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so you're comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, great. And next question is, are there any concerns that the bankruptcy may lead to service cuts, so you just kind of answered that, I think, that might impact the use of this new facility?
Yesterday, right now, they have not looked at scheduling with American Eagle or American in their new plan. That will be sometime down the road, but for the current future, they don't anticipate any cuts.
Good. Is LAWA funding the project, or is American?
American.
That's music to my ears. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. So we're going to approve this, and thank you all for
Thank
that.
you.
And jumping up, Debbie, appreciate that very much. That's number 3, is that correct?
That's correct. And
Number 4.
number 4 was consideration of the motion by Councilwoman Perry relative to establishing refrigerated cold storage facilities as well as other commercial cargo facilities at Ontario Airport to
And
handle
what we're
more
gonna do-
international shipments.
Thank you very much. We got a letter from Ms. Perry asking to questions and things. We're going to get a written report back from Los Angeles International Airports. There's some logistical reasons where Miami has an opportunity to try to be the gate of entry. Mark, you explain.
Mark Adams again from Los Angeles World Airports. Miami is the gateway for cold storage cargo on wide-body aircraft coming into the U.S. That includes flowers, produce, and all that. We have a small share here in Los Angeles, but as we pointed out, it's disproportionate to the size of the population here on the West Coast. We would like to grow our cold storage here, and as you may be aware, Mercury just opened a new facility at LAX. As I pointed out previously, there are problems with the fact that the wide-body aircraft that this produce and these flowers fly on do not go to Ontario. So we're not, and Ontario, frankly, doesn't have the demand to need the wide-body service at this time. So really a cold storage facility in Ontario couldn't really serve the refrigerated cargo needs of the region. But I think we can look toward, as Ms. Perry suggested, trying to figure out how this is a regional thing, and trying to figure out where the cold storage would best be placed regionally, and we'll report back
I want the committee to have more earnest look at this issue, as Ms. Perry brought it up. Mr. Rosendahl?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, I've been rather blunt about what I think Ontario should get and hasn't gotten. As you might remember, the mayor asked me to be chair of that regional commission that dealt with regionalism, and it was a joke because there was not the sensibilities from the region that appreciated regionalism. And one of the things I learned in that moment was that the airlines do not have nonstop, direct, frequent, and discounted flights out of Ontario. And when I look into it deeper, I obviously realize there is a market for it, and I'm very sympathetic to Councilman Walper's position in Ontario that we can do better. How we do better is up for all of us to politically work on and be very sensitive to. I certainly wouldn't mind Ontario playing a more leadership role or even having it, but they'd have to pay for it. And since they're not about to pay for it, I think we need to get together and find a strategy that impacts them in a positive way. And so I totally agree with Ms. Perry's motion. I fully support the idea of generating more commercial cargo business at Ontario. And as part of this report, I would like that LAWA would also explore any potential impacts to passenger service and pricing at both airports. And when you do the report back on what we had asked at the last meeting, I'm looking at ways in which we can work with Ontario to make it a more robust location. I have met with some of the leadership of the major airlines, and every time they say there's no market, I totally disagree. We're living in an energy world where you can get online and find cheap flights, or you can find convenient flights. There are none of that out of Ontario. And the major airlines would be successful with nonstop, direct, frequent, and discounted flights out of Ontario. But I think we need to work with them on incenting them and finding ways to make it happen. And I think Ms. Perry is moving in the same direction that I want to move in, which is ways in which we can make it work. So I look forward to the report back that does address some of those issues and comes up with some thinking out of the box of how we can do that. Because for me, it isn't the planes landing at LAX that I want to see increase. I want to see the planes landing and taking off increase in Ontario, because it is not fair to the people on the ground to have to schlep for 2 hours across the megalopolis to get that discounted nonstop direct flight out of LAX. I know at the moment, airlines don't care how long it takes you to wait at the gate or how long it takes you to get to the gate. We do, because we're a region here. So I look forward to that report that suggests ways in which Ontario can be more effective. The passenger count can go up to what it at least was, which was 7-8 million. And then obviously you and I both know it could go to 11 million without any trouble, and with some fine tuning we could actually go up to 29 million out of there. And I believe in regionalism, so I look forward to that report back.
Okay, so we're going to report back. There's another question I want to ask, and maybe a separate report. Avak, take note of this. You have LAX, you have Burbank, Hollywood, Bob Hope, you have Ontario, you have Long Beach, and you have Orange County. What is the average price like to San Francisco? You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's more expensive to go to Bob Hope, Burbank, Hollywood, Burbank, than it is to go at LAX, right?
I'm not sure of those.
Yeah, I think so.
I
We
would
need to look at maybe a separate.
I think the common sense is yes.
Just we're going to look at that. I used to go to San Francisco for $10 out of LAX. Did you ever go to San Francisco for $10?
I wish I did, but I didn't.
Oh God. Okay.
I love San Francisco.
I know. I love San Francisco too. Okay. Thank you, Mark. Next item.
Item number five. Item number 5 is a motion by Councilman Garcetti relative to partnering with Harbor Airports and LA Inc. to open comprehensive resource centers to promote trade, development, investment, and tourism in regions around the world that would enhance business and job development in Los Angeles.
Great. We have the Port of Los Angeles approaching.
Mrs. Van Nuys.
This is 5.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Item number 5.
Yeah, that's item number 6.
Good morning. Good morning, Councilman. Aaron Gross, Government Relations with the Harbor Department. I'm actually mostly here to smile and nod with my colleagues who are going to explain, but I did want to deliver the first edition, or the first of this year's edition of the second most anticipated and the second most interesting calendar of City Hall, right behind your...
Oh, thank you very much. Very good. I appreciate that. The employees of the World Port LA, Port of Los Angeles do a great job.
Yes, the photos are
Whose
by,
chair?
was a contest from employees.
Seatmate.
So I apologize to slow down the meeting, but wanted
No,
to
that's
deliver,
good.
like I said, the second most
Who
interesting
took
calendar.
the pictures? Tom?
No, all the
employees of the Harbor
employees.
Department. No, Mr. Labange's calendar would be the most interesting,
No,
and most
don't say
anticipated
that.
calendar
Okay.
of the year.
This
Yeah,
is-
we're
this is
looking
good.
forward to yours, Tommy.
Well, that's very good, but this is great to the employees of the World Port do it. So I thank you, Aaron, for that. Norman Arakawa, one of the great city employees who is involved with many good things. Give us the report, Norman.
Thank you very much. The harbor...
Your name for the record?
I'm sorry.
Your name for the record?
I'm sorry. Norman Arikawa, Trade Development Office, Port of Los Angeles. Basically, I wanted to report that the port has had a trade representative office in a number of foreign countries. Currently, we have 7 offices who represent the port's interests with steamship lines, primarily in ports in those countries.
I'm Tracy Gray, Senior Advisor in the Mayor's Office, and I'm here to let you know some of the activities we're doing around trade, and mainly they are around export. In 2010, the President announced his National Export Initiative, and the goal is to double exports in 5 years, which will create double jobs. And the Rockefeller Foundation and Brookings came to the mayor of Los Angeles and said, how is this going to happen on the ground? How do cities actually increase exports? And they wanted to create a plan called their Metropolitan Export Plan to figure out how cities can increase exports. And Los Angeles was the first city they came to, and they picked 3 other cities. So what we, with them, we've created what we're calling the Los Angeles Regional Export Initiative, and we've created the Los Angeles Regional Export Council with the goal of increasing exports in 5 years, and doubling in 5 years, and doubling jobs. So there's a whole initiative around that and programs that we are partnering with the Harbor, LAWA, UCLA, USC, and the Centers for International Trade Development out of this California community colleges.
Can I just ask a question more to Norman? Sure. Or Aaron, do we partner with the Long Beach, Port of Long Beach at all on this?
They're part of this too.
Got it, okay. Okay, because that's good. Mr. Rosen, any questions? I have some, but I want to throw it right back at you.
Well, I sure do, and I just have to think of Ms. Hahn, the Congress member. She would be asking some real questions about the harbor from her energy and past. So God bless you, Janice in Washington, D.C. We're happy you're there.
We look forward to her seat being filled soon on the city council.
Well, that will happen. We will see it very soon, in January, correct? Yes. Okay. Here are questions for LAWA on this. Would the LAWA representatives please give us their thoughts on how this might work within the FAA's revenue diversion rules? What lessons can we use from the LA Inc. contract experience to help us develop this program?
Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. Obviously, we have a contract with LA Inc., have had a contract with LA Inc. for international marketing of LAX, Ontario, for a number of years. We are all, I'm sure, well aware that we ran into some trouble with FAA in terms of the scope of that contract, and we have since pared that contract back to what the FAA would consider to be acceptable activities under the revenue diversion rules. We did that a couple of years ago. And I think, we're continuing to have our relationship with LA Inc. In terms of marketing. It's a matter of defining the acceptable activities and, making sure that the airport money is going to market the airport. And the FAA has found that is an acceptable practice, and we look forward to continuing our relationship with LA Inc. on that regard.
I appreciate that, and many of you know that I consider the FAA the pit bulls for the policymakers who are the Washington electeds on many different levels. In that context, there was, and I know it isn't agendized, but it hit the press, somebody making some charges about something to do with LAPD and the FAA. Can you, at this point, give us any insight into that?
All I can really say is that, yes, there were, and this was in the Times.
Yeah.
That somebody has made some allegations that LAPD was not spending airport money in accordance with the revenue diversion rules, and FAA has opened an inquiry on that, and that's going to take quite a while to resolve itself. But right now, we're working with FAA to provide them information so we can prove to them that that the expenditures were in fact legitimate.
On that note, Mr. Chair, if I could agendize that for your next meeting.
I think so. I think we should do it a little,
back on this.
CLA, would you?
But honestly, Councilman, all we're doing now is providing answers to FAA on their questions, and then the estimate is it'll probably take them about a year to work their way through all the paperwork and come up with some sort of findings. So
give us
we don't really have much to report at this point.
Well, here's what I like, Mark. I'd like you to take what Mr. Rosell just said, and Mark, if you could add to just a little 18 to 22 word statement. The Trade and Commerce Committee is interested in this revelation of the FAA looking into this, and what's the expected time of this and impacts. This was done before. I know the airport was very challenged under Mr. Reard's administration for his views, so that'd be good.
Obviously, we want to know what the FAA is saying and so on and so forth as part of that report.
But I think you're all talented, everyone at that table, and I want to get all those people who are doing with this motion with Mr. Garcetti, talk to Mr. Garcetti in a room. LA Inc. is not here. I can't tell you enough, Mr. Rosell, although we're on the same road, we may be on different lanes. The thing that is impressive of Los Angeles and Southern California is that it's a word, but it's in that UPS commercial, logistics. The Century Freeway had an impact on jobs in a positive way that connected the airport. I remember when Imperial, this may predate your time, but Imperial only had the charter flights, and it was like one building. It's where the Miss Peterson, her name,
Cheryl Peterson?
No. Maybe I'm good. Her brother worked for Water and Power. And, Ethel Patterson. Ethel Patterson. She's a saint. But that was the only thing that was over there was that little terminal for charter. This is in my lifetime now. I hate to say it, so I'm running all this time. Mm-hmm. So this has all changed. Logistics matter. And if we're going to do exporting, logistics matter from the port. We talk about high-occupancy vehicle lanes. Is there a high-occupancy quick vehicle lane between LAX and LA Port of Los Angeles? Does it make sense? Does it, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So this is a good concept. Mr. Garcetti came up, and I'm going to talk with him, and I think we should have a meeting sometime, and I don't have to go anywhere far, just right somewhere downtown where LAX meets the port, meets LA Inc., and then put some things that we mark ourselves, the mayor's office and the leadership, so key. So I'm going to talk to Mr. Garcetti. If we need to schedule this in council, we will. If not, we want to have a meeting. We want to take our jackets off. We want to help you, because this is an opportunity right now to make sure why it works. And it's not just us, maybe working with SCAG as well.
I agree.
Because it's a regional issue.
It is.
Which you so eloquently speak about Ontario. So take note.
So I'd also like, and my second question on this issue is, as Mr. Labange just said about Ontario, I would also love to see an Ontario airport component in this. Exploring how we can better utilize that airport to create new business opportunities and jobs in the city of Los Angeles.
Or if the reality isn't at Ontario, we should note that. I just say that because, we can't build cold storage unless you got stuff to cold in, put in it in the cold. When we were talking about cold storage a few minutes ago, all I thought about is the history of California and the railroads. And it wasn't until they developed ice, and it was Union Ice, I think, up in Stockton or somewhere in the north, where they put them in the rail cars. It really pushed the West in development. So it's all back to ice, it's cold storage. Okay, we got it.
So, Mr. Chair, is your recommendation to forward the motion to council for adoption, or is it to continue it in committee and have the requested reports prepared?
I want to have some reports prepared, so continue.
To continue and have the
I want to talk
reports
to-
prepared?
I'd love in January to meet with Representative Laporte, the mayor's office, LAX, roll up our sleeves, have about 90-minute session, LA Inc. How can we do this? Because promotion is the key. And the one thing says they come to Los Angeles because of logistics, because it's faster, because it's smoother. And how do we promote that?
Let's say, Councilman, again, Aaron Gross with the Harbor Department. We've been working with Councilman Reyes's office and SCAG to talk a little bit about our infrastructure needs and about
Right.
competition. So I think your comments, and your questions working together with your...
Panama Canal widening.
Yeah, we'd love to have that.
Very good.
conversation.
Okay, hold it 30 days, Abak.
And I'd also like to bring to light that this is also referred to the Jobs and Business Development Committee as well.
Good, very good. And they want to schedule, they get scheduled at the same time, but we'll hold this here. Thank you all.
Okay, thanks.
All right, item number 6.
Item number 6 is a motion by Councilman Cardenas relative to the current management structure at Van Nuys Airport.
Okay, anybody to report?
Mark Adams, Los Angeles World Airports. The motion asks us to report back in 120 days on what we can do to make the Van Nuys Airport management more responsive to the tenants, to the community, to everybody who has a stake in the stakeholders at Van Nuys. What we have committed to Councilman Cardenas, what we would do is look at 3 aspects. One, tweaking the existing management structure, whether that be the board or the LAWA staff relative to Van Nuys. Whether we look at 2, a separate commission for Van Nuys, and 3, looking at private contracting of Van Nuys. And so we're going to look at those 3 options, present some thoughts and
Get a
recommendations.
4th option, a subcommission to the
I think that
world.
would be kind of 1A.
Yeah.
That would be part of 1.
Right, if there's a
It's
subcommission,
tweaking
that
the
would
existing management.
still go in there.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
So, what we plan to do is present some recommendations and thoughts to our board and have the board give their feedback and then bring
We
it
can
all to
discuss.
council within that 120-day timeframe.
Super. And we have a fine deputy for Mr. Cardenas.
Miguel Franco, Legislative Director for Councilman Cardenas. Just wanted to concur, echo what the airport department had. We met with Gina Marie Lindsay, and she agreed with the 120-day timeframe to get the report back, and hopefully we can address some of the concerns from the stakeholders, from the residents, as to bringing further attention to one of the busiest general aviation airports in the nation.
Right. But I like the 1A concept, if anything. I like the planning commission is for the city, and then there's some regional, maybe. Look at that. Mr. Rosenthal, any questions?
Yes, a couple of questions, and for those listening to us, you might not know this, but Van Nuys Airport is one of the busiest general aviation airports in the world. An estimated 320,000 visitors use that airport every year. Many of them generate revenue for the city and the localized economy by spending money at nearby hotels, restaurants, shops, and other services. Van Nuys Airport is a major economic engine in the greater Los Angeles region and within the San Fernando Valley. There are other things, but it's a plus for us. My questions, and I really appreciate Mr. Cardenas and Mr. England are putting this motion forward. They obviously are the physical districts there that they're part of. I support exploring these options, and I'm very interested in understanding how each might create a stronger relationship with the local community. I would like to also hear from the BOAC commissioners regarding their thoughts and ideas once LAWA returns with a report. And my hope is that when they return with the report, that you will have involved those commissioners in that, and that the president of the commission, or if there's a commissioner also from the valley there, could also discuss it and bring it up.
Absolutely. I think that was the reason why we wanted the time frame we did, because we wanted to have that dialogue with the commission. Once the staff has its thoughts pulled together on the 3 options, take that to the commission, get their thoughts, and then come and bring the whole package before you.
Good. And when you're doing that, I know there's some very active community leaders, like Wayne and others that I've known over the years. And I would also love to hear what they think about its impact on the local communities.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you very much. Moving forward. Okay. Next item will be item number 2.
Item number 2 is approval of a Fourth Amendment to a concession agreement for the Roadrunner shuttle at LAX to extend the term of their concession agreement by 18 months.
Essentially what this, Debbie Bowers, Deputy Secretary Director at LAX, or LAWA. What this essentially does is extend a Roadrunner shuttle to the same term that we have the other 2 shared ride vans. And that way we can work on a strategy of how we want to go forward with this concession. And we're doing that in line with whatever we do with our curbside strategy. So that's why we need the time.
Very good. Mr. Rosenthal, you have probably no questions. Good.
I appreciate this. Thank you.
Madam CEO, you're all right?
Yes.
Good, very good. Thank you. So ordered.
And we have item number 1, which is the appointment of Ms. Ann Hollister to the Airport Commission for the term ending June 30, 2015.
Hi.
Morning, Councilman.
Good morning. How you doing? Good to visit with you. Ann's got a great history, as you know, Mr. Rosendahl. Very passionate.
Tell us about it.
I am, but I want to tell you a little too, so
I
that I
know.
know that. Okay, good. So, but I think she'll be an asset to the commission. And Ann, go ahead.
Thank you, Councilman. I had
Your name for the record.
Ann Hollister, I'm a constituent in the 11th Council District in Brentwood. I have had 2 phases, a professional phase as a political consultant for about 17 years, worked in this building for Councilman Yaroslavsky many years ago. And for the last 12 to 15 years, I've really focused more as a community activist. I have chaired the LA Conservation Corps Board for a number of years, been involved in a number of community issues around issues in Brentwood and Bel Air. I think that what's in those 2 phases have taught me in 2 different ways is how important it is to be sensitive to the community. One is a political consultant when you're always looking for votes on behalf of your boss and ultimately serving in the, whether it's the state or federal or city capacity, and also as a resident working on issues that people are truly passionate on. They weren't the size of the issues that LAWA deals with. However, I think those skills could be valuable, or I hope they will be valuable to the board.
Good.
I'm sure they will. And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay. One of my top priorities at LAX is completing an update of the LAX North Side Plan that has the input and support of Westchester and Playa del Rey. In fact, we had a gathering a couple of weeks ago, and several hundred folks from Playa del Rey and Westchester showed up, and there were all kinds of sketches and all kinds of dream sheets out there and all kinds of people putting stuff up. It was an excellent discussion. Lisa Tripoletti, who's on board managing it, is a superstar, and we're very proud of her work. And the North Side Plan will determine the use of those 350 acres that LAWA property between LAX and the local neighbors. And it's a very important effort for my constituents. I'd like your sensibilities right now about that and how you see yourself getting engaged on that issue.
I know that there's an EIR coming out later this spring. I don't know all the details around that really important issue, but I hope to get up to speed on them very quickly and have a role of being, as I said, sensitive to the community and helping the community understand the LAWA issues. I mean, to me, that's the really interesting part of this opportunity that the mayor has nominated me for, is that is letting the community be, just bringing everybody together, taking the time to listen and make sure that the airport is appropriately heard. It's kind of, Councilman, honestly, it's kind of back to my roots. It's retail politics. It's like the precinct walking days, where if the more you talk to people and the more you listen, the better the result is.
No question about it, and your energy as a grassroots organizer and involved in issues in community are significantly appreciated by me, and I can tell you the Westchester Playa del Rey people will embrace you with those issues. And I know you have experience working even with the youth organization. AYSO has been one of your major plays.
You might not realize how controversial that can be, Councilman.
Oh, I can tell you, I know. And if you look at the north side area, there's a section, there's several things I would like to see happen in my lifetime. First, I want to see the 10 acres of land connected to Otis go through the process it's going through, and through that whole open process, hopefully Otis would get those 10 acres so they can expand their opportunities. Otis is right now in three different...
Would they buy them?
Oh, yeah.
Whatever the...
Well, Debbie, would you come up for that? Because this is an important on-the-record discussion. But I want you to know that those 10 acres, historically, from my perspective, are adjacent to Otis. And at one point, Otis has 3 facilities, one downtown in the Fashion District, one somewhere else, and one there. And I want to be able to give them the opportunity to combine it and be, as they are, an incredible partner with the Westchester Playa del Rey community. And Debbie came up because she can give us the latest on that point, but we want your energy on that.
We did do the competitive process, and Otis is the winner, actually was the only bidder, thank you. And we are negotiating with them, and it's going quite well, I think.
But are they going to pay the appraised value?
Yes, but it's going to be a ground lease, not a sale. The FAA preferred us not to sell any of that land right now.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm very happy to hear that, and that just happened? They won the competitive bidding thing?
We've actually told them they won it a couple of months ago. I know that Sammy has been out of town, the president of Otis.
Yeah.
And so I've been waiting for him to get back in town so he can re-engage in some of the discussions we were having.
That's excellent. And also, right next to that is land that we want for soccer fields and other sporting kinds of things, and I think your energy could assist us tremendously on that. So I'm thrilled about that. What other... Go.
Your turn.
Oh, what other issues? Because one of the things, you probably know this, modernization, yes, expansion, no, is the mantra of us. And we have a whole lot of stipulated agreements that came out of a combination of meetings that the mayor had and we had with community people. We got everybody to relax, get rid of their lawsuits, so we could modernize that airport. It's critical that we modernize it. And there are 5 green-lighted projects. And you probably know there's getting the Green Line and the People Mover connected, or the aviation location there on Century Boulevard as a central point for the Crenshaw Line, and everybody else that then goes into a potential people mover that would then circle around the airport, and people could actually, take their luggage, get on a light rail, and end up at the airport, or get off the plane and get on the light rail and go wherever they need to go. So that's one of our dreams, is the connecting the Green Line, the Crenshaw Line, and all of that into one activity. Another is the midfield concourse. Another is the consolidated rental. Unfortunately, some of these are languishing due to the reality of what we have to deal with, but all of those green-lighted projects are significant enough to the mayor, to the council member there, and to the community. And I look forward to your leadership working with the other commissioners on those issues.
Councilman, it's really exciting to hear about the plans. The mayor also mentioned them when I met with him, and he said how exciting they were to him, and that, like Councilman LaBonge said a few minutes ago when we talked, all under safety 1, 2, 3, and then modernization, and then modernization so critical for the entry to LA for millions of people a year.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
What's so fabulous, Bill, is alliances have sparked up in the airline industry in the last 10, 15 years. So it's really changed the dynamics of it, and people fly from Australia. I use this example. We met, and they get out, and they want to go to La Paz or somewhere. They get on Mexicali, and they go right from there. And so those things are the challenging one. I think you were one of the champion of having more centralized Mexican flights from Ontario.
From Ontario,
But there's
direct
these
non-stop.
partnerships now, allow you to do that, and that's our challenge. Noise, and pushing the industry to reduce the noise, because that's our challenge, and making sure the transit gets absolutely into the terminals. Because in Heathrow or Orly or other places, you get out of a plane and you could walk down an escalator and you're on the light rail or heavy rail. There should be heavy rail. I did say this once to Ruth Galander, the former councilwoman there. I said, Ruth, high-speed rail should go into LAX. And she said, it will bring too many people. And I said to her, they're already there. So, there's a combination that we have to do to try to get people in and out of there that doesn't impact community.
That's right.
It doesn't impact community. And once you're landlocked there in Westchester with Lincoln Boulevard on the west side and Sepulveda on the east, and it's a triangle, beautiful neighborhood.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And when the mayor, with great leadership, said, let's accelerate the 12 infrastructure projects of Measure R over a 10-year period rather than a 30-year period, that gave such attention and focus. And Senator Boxer found $600 million so we could take the Crenshaw line from a dream to a reality. And that's happening. And when this is all said and done, Micah, who was the Republican chair of the Transportation Committee of the House of Representatives, he said, my wife and I, every time we come to LAX, she turns to me and says, where's their train, their light rail? So the Measure R issue, thanks to the brilliant leadership of Antonio Villaraigosa, is not a Democrat or Republican issue. It is truly a people issue of LA County. And if that energy continues under the next administration, whoever that may be, I can see literally all kinds of things, including a mass transit system that Congressman Micah could be proud of, that we develop in LA that includes LAX. So that's part of the vision. I know you have too.
You know what I used to do for John Ferraro? I used to go pick up the chairman of the Transportation Committee. He was from Pennsylvania. So we should really host that. That's the one thing we should do, Mr. Adams, in the future, host some of these people from around the country.
Right on.
Because we are, as you say, the second largest city in the United States, or the most important city on the planet.
It's a megalopolis of the earth.
Right. But anyway, Ann Hollister, you do a great job. Any relationship with the Hollister family?
No, Councilman, I wish.
You ever been to that beach?
Yes, I've been to the beach, but there are no
Nice
relatives
beach.
there.
Hollister. You ever been up Hollister?
I have no idea where it is.
Up near Santa Barbara. You ever hitchhiked to San Francisco? Huh? Come on. I did. I'm trying. We're way ahead of time, folks. We're just trying to get you in town. I used to hitchhike, and you get rides up there. One time a guy gave me a ride in a truck, and he said he'd give me a ride, a big Standard oil truck. I got home.
Very nice.
I got home. All
Thank
right.
you, Councilman.
Thank you very much.
The council.
You betcha. Thank you very much,
I
Ms.
move
Hollister.
that. Move this
We move it forward. Thank you, everybody. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Good to see you. We're going to see you in another meeting.
No, I'm